foaming at the mouth, unconscious, and she soon died after that.
Okay, so he's claiming that she came in already with substance or whatever in her body, and she lay down and passed away.
So he doesn't know if there was something in her body, but she already had too many injection marks, and he just didn't feel right giving her another injection. He doesn't know what those injection marks could be. He might be indicating that she was already high on drugs. That's kind of the vibe that he gives later on as well, including his family. So he thinks that she was already on a bunch of substances, walks in, he's like, no, because I'm a good person, I can't give you even more substances. Why don't you just take a rest? Here's my problem.
That's weird.
It's weird.
You would send them away rather than, hey, sleep on my hospital bed waiting for something to happen under my watch.
And I don't even know you. And I'm just going to play phone games while you're just like, it's just uncomfortable, not just for him, but also for her. Because if you watch the CCTV footage of her walking from her friend's apartment to the clinic, it's like maybe a 10-minute walk, not even. Even if you're so tired, you would just walk back home. Because how do you even fall asleep with this? You just met him like maybe yesterday, maybe you met him a few times before this, we don't know, but still, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
He continues, and then I found out that her heart was not beating once I checked on her. He realized that this was an emergency. He had to do something. Does he call the authorities? Does he take her to a real clinic or a real hospital? No. He feeds her 4 to 5 tablets of traditional herbal medicine. Again,
what?
I am not bashing traditional Eastern medicine. Like, my family is a fan of Eastern medicine.
I'm so sorry. He's saying at this point she's already passed.
Like, her pulse is weak. Like, there's no breathing. Basically, like, yeah, basically she's passed.
And how do you feed someone? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I am all for traditional Eastern medicine, but I just feel like in this situation, it's not the right move here at all. So he administers 4 to 5 tablets of Chinese herbal medicine and then tries to give her an oxygen mask. Also, in this new version of events, he tries to cover for his wife and states that she wasn't there when any of this happened. He was alone. This is like so bizarre because it goes against the whole CCTV footage. But he's saying, well, she could have been there. She could have been around, but she was watching our kid. So she had no idea that this was unfolding. He even goes as far to allege that his wife had no idea that any of this happened, that anything bad happened that day. Literally what? His wife was with him in the Prius. She was probably with him in the Prius when they went to the construction site. So it just doesn't make sense. But he said, my wife didn't know. When we got back to the clinic in the Prius, she got out, she went to the bathroom, and I by myself moved the body to the trunk. And then while I was driving towards the construction site, I dropped her off at a restaurant and told her I would be back. And that's when I abandoned the body by myself. Rai claims that his wife had seen Ayong and asked, hey, what kind of patient is she? What is she here for? And allegedly his wife saw her sleeping in the clinic as well, but she apparently had no clue that she died in the clinic. Listen, never say never, but the odds of moving a full body to your trunk while your wife is in the restroom and then getting back into the car with your wife, dropping her off at a restaurant to leave to dump the body and then come back, like the odds of doing that seem so slim. But I can see why he lied. They do have a newborn at home, so it would make sense that maybe he would want at least one parent to be present for the kid. He told the journalist, I did make a horrible mistake, like I did. I obviously did this because I have no money. I was scared about my clinic being shut down. I mean, I think that the crime that I should be charged with is abandoning a body.
What?
But my wife should not be charged with anything because she was with the baby, breastfeeding the whole time. He also dances around his belief and idea that the Cambodian government doesn't want to do a real investigation and they just want to blame it all on the couple. They want to close this case as quickly as possible. He said, that first story where they said that I injected her with the Chinese medicine, I never injected any sort of serum into her. I never said that. The government is using that to get a murder charge. And this is where some diplomatic relationships get called into play. So Rai and his family suggest that the Korean embassy getting involved has escalated this to a potential murder charge. The Cambodian government is trying to please the Korean embassy by trying to get murder on the table. And since Cambodia and the Republic of Korea, the ROK, are close, they want to please Korea. But this doesn't make any sense because China is also a close friend of Cambodia. And from what I can tell, please correct me if I'm wrong, Korea has strong trade relations with Cambodia. South Korea has also invested about $5 billion into the development of Cambodia since 1997 to, I believe, current date. This could be like 2 years off. Maybe it's like till 2021, 2022, right? That's a whole lot of money. That's 5 billion reasons why they would want to stay on good terms with ROK. But that's $5 billion in the last 26 years. Meanwhile, in 2021 alone, China invested around $2.3 billion into Cambodia. So I'm sure at this point they have surpassed collectively, China has collectively, I'm assuming, given more than $5 billion in investments to Cambodia. So all this is to say, I do think diplomatic relationships can muddy the waters, can influence people in cases like this, but I don't think it's going to be a deciding factor in this one. I don't think Cambodia is going to try and screw people over because of their diplomatic relationships. So anyway, at one point, the journalist stated he asked why he abandoned the body in the first place and where he even came up with this idea, and Rai just snapped, "Why are you asking about something that's already passed?" According to the journalist. Side note, he also claims that he didn't know of Ayong prior to this. Didn't know that she was an influencer, what she did for a living, nothing. Which is interesting. Obviously, the internet didn't believe him and his multiple different versions of events, so they came up with their own conclusions. A lot of these conspiracies do shift some amount of blame on the victim, so I think it's important to note, I really don't think it matters why Ayong was in that clinic. Like, there is literally almost nothing, truly, beyond like murder that she could have done, had the intention to do, that would make what happened to her in any way acceptable. So I really don't think it matters why she was in there, but I think it just kind of sheds light on what people are thinking about this clinic and what kind of services they were offering. So the first conspiracy is that Ayong was there for a cosmetic procedure that was illegal in South Korea. Netizens point to the comments made by the security guard from the construction site where she was found that she had marks on her butt region, like IV markings or puncture wounds. Some people speculate that it was from black market butt injections.
Is that illegal in...
So in South Korea they do BBLs, which is like a fat transfer, but sometimes there are black market injections which are so bad for you, right? Like, people have died from this, and they're like injecting silicone, unknown substances straight into the butt. It's just, it's almost like you're getting filler in your butt, but it's not how it works. You could literally die.
Yeah, okay.
Even a BBL is quite dangerous. So they thought, okay, maybe she didn't want a BBL, but she wanted these injections, so she went to Cambodia to get it. And maybe someone recommended this clinic, but that calls to question which one of her friends had flown, how did they even come across this clinic? Is this clinic reaching out to people to come fly in and saying, like, we can give you a discount, or like, what is going on? It doesn't make sense. But also, that's dangerous. If they're doing illegal things, why would they reach out to people and leave evidence in DMs and stuff like that? And I also imagine if she was getting any sort of these procedures, maybe at least one of her friends would have known, right? Or at least she would have told the couple that she was staying with.
Yeah, they have no idea?
No. They said, no, absolutely not. We didn't hear anything like that. Or at least that the public knows of. So if she was getting a butt injection, maybe the downtime is not that long, but it just doesn't make sense that nobody would know. And South Korea really isn't one of those like hush-hush places where it's like, don't tell anyone I got surgery done. I mean, usually these days people are pretty open about it, at least amongst your friends. Maybe you don't go and advertise it all around the street, but you tell your friends like, oh, I'm going to get a procedure done tomorrow. I'm so nervous, you know. She probably would have taken someone with her as well. Now, another conspiracy that netizens came up with that was Ayong was there for drugs. That this clinic wasn't actually a medicinal clinic, a medical clinic, but potentially a drug dealing front. This has nothing to do with Ayong, because from what I can see, Ayong doesn't seem to have any known history or connections with drug abuse, so it's a theory that people started mainly because Cambodia has a lot more relaxed laws on drugs than South Korea. There have been scandals where South Koreans, also influencers, will leave South Korea to do drugs in neighboring countries and then come back. So the theory was, she went to the clinic, bought drugs, took it, and overdosed. The couple freaked out because they aren't supposed to be doing this, and their lives are about to be over, and you know the rest. A lot of people believe this because, again, the clinic had nobody really going in and out, so how are the couple even making money? And then, like, the fact that they're advertising for surgery and stuff like that would maybe warrant, if authorities had come in and found some really hard drugs, they could argue it's not just Chinese herbal medicine we're giving here, we're also performing surgery. Now, the main thing that the netizens think is propofol. And I think that this has to do with a connection because there was another South Korean famous comedian who died in Cambodia because of a propofol overdose. That one is yeah, okay. So there's a lot of conversations about propofol in Cambodia, or at least in South Korea there is. Propofol is like a heavy anesthetic that needs to have an anesthesiologist present. So this makes sense because you're thinking, okay, well, if she was on, like, if she's trying to get weed, which is highly illegal in South Korea, she'd probably go home and have a blast by herself, right? But for this, you need to have someone there. You need to have someone to monitor you. It's the medicine that they use to put you to sleep with when you go in for surgery. In the US, it is super regulated. It's stated that the high is incredibly addicting. It's a state of euphoria, and it's not just regulated for that reason, but it's regulated because you can easily die. Like, anesthesiologists, they're there for a reason.